Give me just 8 minutes and I'll walk you through exactly how to scale your brand to $10,000 a day in total sales. I know this because we've done this multiple times here at TVG, where we work with e-commerce brands to help them scale. We have brands that have scaled to well over $1 million a month. We have brands that are generating $300,000 to $500,000 a month. So I want to just give you as much knowledge in the shortest time span ever to make sure you understand exactly what this scaling protocol looks like to get to $10,000 a day. And you can even work backwards if you want to do $20,000 a day. Whatever your growth target is, this remains true. This is exactly how to hit those insane numbers for your brand. So step number one is that we need to do the math. So if we want to do $10,000 a day in sales, we need to work backwards knowing all of our KPIs. So first we need to understand obviously what our average order value is currently. So let's just say it's $75 our average order value. That means that we need over 133 orders a day to reach $10,000 a day in sales. Next, we need to understand your site conversion rate. So let's just say your site is currently converting at 2.5%. That means we need 5,333 sessions to get $10,000 a day in sales with that same $75 AOV. Next, we need to make sure we understand our marketing efficiency ratio to make sure that we're not over leveraging ourselves and throwing too much on ads. Figure out your financial benchmarks of how profitable you need to be in order to scale. Some brands come to us and they're ready to dump cash on ads. They want to scale super hard. Some brands want to be more conservative. And of course, that will have an impact on how fast you can get to that $10,000 a month. But let's just say for this example, you want a marketing efficiency ratio to be above 3. If we just work backwards and say we want to do $10,000 of revenue, that means we have to spend $3,333 a day in ad spend. And what that means is that if we get 133 orders with $3,333 a day in ad spend, then the implied customer acquisition cost is about $25. And it's important to know what your break-even CAC is. Let's just say that your gross margin on your $75 order is 60%, then that means we have about $45 until we are losing with our marketing. So in this scenario, we know our break-even CAC is $45, but we really want to be closer to $25 acquisition cost so we can be in that nice efficient 3x return on our marketing efforts. Now that we know the math, now we need to lock in our offer to understand how we're going to scale to that. Typically, even if you're selling multiple products, it's a lot easier to go hard into one hero offer so we can be super clear and have all the marketing focus on that one offer. I would look at your best sellers and create one flagship offer or bundle to start pushing on ads. Make sure you have a very clear value prop, a clear promise that you can guarantee to your customers that if they buy your product, they will get these results. And we always like to offer risk reversal. So it could be like 30-day or your money back or something like that. Just to make it as no-brainer as possible. And this will impact your site conversion rate because if your offer is really good, then people will buy more. And then I always like to layer in maybe 1 to 2 upsells. So maybe in the checkout process, they can add a complimentary item or an accessory to try to bump up that AOV. A compelling offer equals lower customer acquisition costs. A weak offer, well, you're just going to be spending more on ads to get that purchase. Step 3, really choose 1 to 2 distribution channels to start getting traffic. We usually recommend Meta, so Facebook and Instagram ads is like the primary way to get traffic, but you might want to layer in some Google depending on how big your brand is. And maybe optional, you can maybe allocate about 10 to 20% of your total marketing budget to start to get creators or influencers to get some nice UGC and content produced. So we understand our offer, we understand our targets, we now understand that we're going to start using Meta advertising primarily. We might allocate some budget to some influencers and into creators to get some good ads. And usually, what I'd recommend is a split. Let's just say you give 60% of your ad budget to Meta, 30% to Google, and then maybe 10% to creators or influencers to try to get some UGC. Step number 4 is to build a creative engine, not just a one-off batch of creatives. We need an engine in place to create tons of creators so we can test and iterate and get to that point where we're seeing a break-even, if not profitable, customer acquisition cost. Creative is probably the number one lever to reduce your customer acquisition cost, and this requires volume, so creating a lot of creative and iterating based upon the data that we see in the ad account. So I want to say generally we want to be creating about 5 to 15 new ad concepts every single week to get us scaling up to that point. Now the formats that you can use tons of stills and graphics. That's usually the easiest, and we recommend using stills and graphics at the beginning to just test and validate your product offering. Second, UGC, you can create, get creators to talk about your product and give them scripts and make sure we have nice user-generated content. I always love founder stories and founder style ads. Anything scrappy, anything really at the beginning, we want more variability, the better, because we can see what type of ad types work for your target customer. And once we understand those formats, whether it's UGC, stills, graphics, it's a founder story, then we can start thinking about what ad angles we want to communicate. So an angle is just like the way we're communicating the ad, the offer, so that it will stop people and get them to understand what we're selling to them. So some easy angles to consider, like pain first. So like, are you struggling with this, this, and this? And this product will help you this, right? So call it that pain. People are more responsive to calling out pain versus just saying how great your product is. Desire first. So maybe there's something aspiring or something that your customer is wanting to achieve, that maybe you can focus on that in your ad. You can have a proof first angle. So like talk about all your customers and reviews and how so many people love your product. Or you can go aggressive on like an offer first ad. If your offer is just like so good that it stands on the market, you can go aggressive just communicating that offer in your advertising. So like just think about this, like here's some hook templates that maybe you can consider. If you struggle with X, Y, and Z, then watch this. We fixed this problem without this, this, and this. I wasted hundreds of dollars on this competitor or this solution until I tried this, right? These are hooks that are different angles that just helps you stand out. And the hook is one of the most powerful components of your ad creative. So now once you have all your creatives, you're gonna start testing these on your ads, of course, and you wanna kill these ads if you start to see them just not hit within your break-even CPA. If the ad is within our target CPA for more than 3 days, and we start to scale that ad aggressively. Now, I recommend starting to test at like $100, $200 a day per ad type so that we can find winners as fast as possible, find those winners, kill those losers, and start the scaling process. Step number 5 is we wanna monitor that site conversion rate. If we see your site conversion rate start to dip, then we wanna make sure we have some best conversion rate optimization practices in play. This includes that we're driving all of our ads to a very direct response, very clear landing page or product page. We wanna make sure that landing page is loading as fast as possible. On that page, we should have trust, reviews, social proof, any press or media that you're featured in. The checkout process should be absolutely seamless. It should be very clear on how to add to cart. We should have the buy button up above the fold. It means when someone lands on your landing page, they see what they wanna buy and they can immediately add to cart and check out. Lastly, like I said before, if there is an opportunity for average order value lifts like upsells, make sure we have those in the checkout process just so we can see a fraction of customers take that upsell and ultimately increase our AOV. The goal here is to ruthlessly test your landing page conversion rate, because even a 0.5% improvement on your conversion rate has a massive impact on your cost per result and the impact on your ads. Step 6 is we need to make sure we have retention on. So when we work with a brand, we always want to make sure that we have our acquisition flows set up. These are essential flows like welcome flow, abandoned cart, browse abandonment, site abandonment. All these flows need to be set up in Klaviyo so that we're recouping as much revenue as possible. People get bored, they look at a product, but then they bounce off, and then you want to make sure those email flows catch them and get them back to where you want them to be. Also make sure that you're sending about 2 to 4 campaigns every single week. These are just one-time blasts at your list, and usually we send those to a 90-day engage open segment. Your email and SMS revenue should generate about 30 to 40% of your revenue. So this is a massive channel that we want to make sure is all set up and live, because like I said, 30 to 40% of revenue will be coming through email and SMS. And the higher your LTV, then the more you can spend to acquire a customer. And really having this all built out will drastically improve your marketing efficiency ratio, like we said at the beginning, because really that revenue is quite profitable. Now let's talk about daily budgeting and scaling. So like I said, we probably need to scale up to spending over $3,000 a day in ads to hit that $10,000 a day in sales mark. But I would start with just like a adequate budget. You know, usually what we say with our clients, we want to spend about $200 to $500 a day in initial testing. The more budget you have for testing and the more ruthless you are with that testing process, the faster you can start to scale. So make sure you have ample budget. So if you're spending $50 a day, $100 a day, yes, you could do that in theory, but it'll just take longer to get to that $10,000 a day sales mark. Once you start seeing some of your ads win, so you're starting to see ads acquire customers, you know, within that break-even CPA or profitable CPA, then we want to start to scale as aggressively as 20% day over day, or maybe 20% every 3 days, or even more conservatively, 20% week over week. If performance stays stable, then we want to keep pushing that envelope and keep scaling so we can eventually hit that $3,000 a day in spend mark. Once you start to scale, you might want to layer in a little bit of retargeting depending on the account. Sometimes this is not necessary, but maybe we want to allocate about 10% of our budget, 10-20% of our budget to warm retargeting and our existing customer base. Really throughout the entire scale process, we need to understand all of our metrics, from marketing efficiency ratio, your customer acquisition costs, your average order value, your site conversion rate. All these metrics need to be aligned and monitored on a consistent basis. Step number 8 is you need to track these metrics like an operator. Here at TVG, we set up these growth dashboards, and when we're working with clients, like this data is our North Star. We need to understand this data on a weekly basis so we make sure that we're trending in the right direction. And it's very important not to get too wrapped up in what the platforms are reporting, like Facebook or Klaviyo or Google. Understand how these all impact your business, because you can have like a 3x ROAS, and then you look at your business, you're like, why am I not profitable? So we want to look at everything from an omnichannel standpoint to make sure that we're not just burning cash on ads. Okay, now that I've outlined 8 steps, all the things you have to build out to get to $10,000 a day, let's map out like a 14-day action plan. So in the first couple of days, you want to lock in your offer, lock in exactly what you're selling, make sure you know your margins, and start to outline your KPIs. Then you're going to start producing all those creatives, let's say 15 total creatives, 3 hooks, 5 bodies so that we can create about 15 variations. Once you have all those creatives up and live, you want to make sure, of course, you have a nice landing page that's highly converting. I'd recommend launching those ads on Meta, starting to spend maybe $200, $300 a day in initial testing. Now that you have your ads up and live and testing, build out and make sure all your email flows are ready for success, as traffic is going to be coming through those. And then as time goes on, right, you should have a couple weeks of testing. You want to kill the ads that aren't working and scale the ads that are working. And at this time, about day 11 to day 14, you have enough traffic coming in, you're seeing what ads are working, what ads are not working. It might make sense to do a CRO test. Maybe try to split test your landing page if you have enough traffic to see if you can improve that conversion rate. This is very important that all of these things, the faster that you can take action on these things, the faster you can smash through and hit that next scale level. Here are some common pitfalls to avoid when you're trying to scale. 1, spreading budget across too many SKUs. I see this so many times where brands have a shotgun approach to ads where they're trying to sell everything all at once. Like I said, really narrow in your product offering to maybe 1, 2, maybe 3 offers, really 1 offer out of the gate just to start to get that scaling first. Do not think a channel is dead or Facebook ads won't work for you if you spend $200 and you haven't seen results. The real operators that scale a brand are taking a risk and they're ready to invest dollars, because those dollars being spent are spent on testing. As long as you react to those and make those changes from that ad spend, it is not wasted. It is an investment. Another mistake is no creative cadence. So they create like 5 creatives and they don't work and they just shut it all down. You need to be ruthlessly testing. I need creatives every single week up and live in the ad account until we see consistent benchmarks being reached. And then lastly, ignoring retention, right? All the email flows. Make sure your email flows are up and running, and then make sure you're starting to send consistent campaigns to your list. That is the entire blueprint. We need a high converting offer. We need to know our numbers. We need to have ad creative ready to launch every single week. We need to have our retention system set up. We need a direct response landing page. We need all these things set up so that we can start scaling to $10,000 a day. If you want a deeper walkthrough of our system and how we install the system into brands that has generated over $50 million of revenue, then watch this video next. Or if you'd like me to personally audit your brand and figure out how we can start scaling more aggressively, then leave a link down below to book in a call with me. And make sure to stick around and subscribe to this channel, like this video, as I drop new e-commerce and marketing trainings every single week to help you scale your brand to the next level. I'll see you in the next one.